on and see if anybody wants to jump on board here. So far, I got nobody. Well, it has to do with this rather large storm that came and went. It's right currently at the northeast part of the country right now, giving them problems. I drove through it. I made it home. I got into Texas, started heading southbound on 59 out of Texarkana. As soon as I got to Texas, the temperature was still low, but the snow wasn't sticking. We didn't have any ice going down that road, but apparently they had enough snow and or ice to knock out the power, because I had a heck of a time getting fuel when I was there. So now I'm finishing the drive. I am heading south on I-45. Houston's ahead of us. And the reason I'm streaming right now is there are 5 lanes, and look at the traffic. I've lived here 25 years, and I have never seen this few vehicles on the road before, even in the middle of the night. And this is absolutely crazy. So normally I wouldn't waste my time filming, but this is just a recording. But this is kind of awesome. I'm going to shoot into downtown Houston and hit 59 south, which is going to take me down towards Hidalgo, which is where my drop is, which is 400 miles away, or 360 or whatever the GPS is saying. But I want to see what this looks like when we can just roll through here, because this is weird. I've been down this road in the middle of the night and I've never seen it this open, so I am enjoying this profusely right now. Let's see what happens here. It's a Sunday, and because of the temperatures here, it's 28 degrees, which for Texas is kind of weird. My parents' church, which are mostly older folks go there, they actually canceled the service today. So the parents, or the rents as I like to call them, they're at home right now. But this is the cruise, so I'm going to see, can I cruise into Houston at 62, my normal cruise speed? Can I just cruise into Houston at 62 miles an hour? Because this is going to be a first for me. And I literally, in 25 years, I have not seen the road this open before. This town right here I'm passing through, if you're wondering, if you're looking at the map, this is the Woodlands. This is kind of the high rent district up here on the right. But this is rather enjoyable. So I'm out of the north side of Houston going to Hidalgo. It's by Brownsville. And the drop is until 8 in the morning, so I'm going to motor down there. Should be getting there around 7 o'clock tonight. I'm hoping it's not too terribly cold, so I don't have to make any special accommodations, and I'm going to turn around and head home, and then I'm going to be out of service for probably a week while I'm here. Rigo, I can't pronounce that. Hi, how you doing? He said we're motoring. I've still got this payload in the back. It's 2,500 pounds, and the contract they gave me to load was 3 little pallets and 2,000 pounds total. And I showed up at the shipper, and it was 4 pallets at 2,500, and the pallets say "Do not stack" in big bold letters. And I went, well, I can't slide forward to this van; it's not long enough. So I told the guy, I can't carry 4 pallets. My van isn't long enough for that, no matter how I move stuff around. And I went out to call the head shed, and they said, oh, well, we can stack them, with the big sign that says, don't stack them. And I called dispatch, and I said, we gotta fix this, because the paperwork, everything has to match, right? Well, obviously that doesn't match. And I'm kind of feeling it a bait and switch. That's just me talking. So they stack them and put them in. Well, here I am, 1,200 miles later, and I'm understanding why they said don't stack them. There's nothing that's going to be damaged because it's machined metal flat plates, kind of like, looks like the guts for a clutch, for instance. But the one pallet is starting to bend into the load underneath. I've had to tighten the straps down a few extra times, and I can actually hear the pallet behind me making a squeaking sound as it rubs the pallet in front of it, so it's kind of settling. So I'm kind of excited about the prospects of getting this out of my vehicle. And 2,500 pounds off my suspension. I imagine this van will be quite happy with that. And that on the right, take a look here. Those are the two quote unquote high-rise buildings up in this end of town. I use those as a checkpoint when I was flying around here. And it was owned, this is years ago, I don't know who owns them now, but Anadarko, the oil company, owned those. And that was actually a checkpoint. As a pilot, you would call the tower and you would say you were at the Twin and the Anadarkos, and they'd say, okay, Universal Uno, how you doing? Hey, I'm back on the road. I am currently finishing this run from the north side of Milwaukee, heading down towards, right next to Brownsville. And I was able to skirt most of that big storm, except yesterday morning when I got up, there was packed snow and ice on the roads, and it slowed the drive down. And when you're going a long way, that is annoying. Toll. No, there's no tolls going this road. Tomorrow we have Indian Constitution Day. Really? Never heard of that one. But then again, there's a list out there of all the holidays there are in the United States, and it's pretty insane. And pretty bad how many National Potato Week and stuff like that. But currently, like I said, I'm just motoring down here. The reason I started filming is I was taken aback at the lack of traffic, and I've lived in this area since 2001, and this is the most open I have ever seen the road. And it's a little disturbing. I get in the middle of the night, there's more cars out here. So I'm enjoying this. This is, let's see, 1, 2, 3. There's 5 lanes plus an HOV lane over there, and everything's open. Constitution of India was implemented. Oh, India, as in the country of India. That's cool. Is that to celebrate when the Brits officially packed up and left in 47? Is that what they're referring to? Oh, I had somebody on here yesterday talking to me. When you're on the road, unfortunately, you spend a lot of money on the road. It's the nature of the beast. And I do everything in my power to try to save. And one of the little side save things I do, and somebody asked me about this, so I don't have more information. It's called Fetch, as in throwing a stick to your dog. It's a free app to put on your phone. And what they do is that's 15th of August. Okay, oh, that's on, so that's a different thing. Okay. Fetch is an app I've been using for years. And basically what you're doing is taking photographs of receipts, and it kind of scans it, and it gives you points. And how their reason for doing this is you'll have like a search thing where you can go in and it'll say, hey, if you buy 3 of these, or you buy this product, or you eat at this store, we'll give you a whole bunch more points. And as the points build up, you can translate it into gift cards. You can send it to your bank account, but $10, $20 that you don't really notice, but you will notice it it's an electronic gift card, one you can hold up at a store, and there's a whole bunch of options. Hey, how you doing? And I've been using it for years now, and the criteria of the receipts, it's any receipt you have, and you got to pay attention. It doesn't necessarily mean it's your receipt. It could be any receipt you found laying on the ground. I have a Walmart receipt, seem to be the most valuable, and there's a Walmart not far from where I live, and the wind blows receipts over against this one fence line, so I'll walk over there and grab them. And they will occasionally give you incredible numbers of points for certain products that you don't even know what's on there or what it is. So you take a picture, you get points, take a picture, you get points. And then all of a sudden you hit one, and you, instead of getting 25 points, you get 800 or 2,000 or something like that. It's kind of cool. And where I am right now in their system is when I hit 12,500, I get a $10 Amazon gift card, and it sends it to you, and you electronically do it onto your Amazon account. Boom, you're there. And then you go back to saving. It's just free money for receipts. And the only 2 strings attached is you can't do more than 40 in a 7-day period, which is a rolling total, because it won't just go 40 and then say no and then wait 7 days to go 40. It's like, you free up 3 or 4. And the receipt can't be more than 14 days old. So when I got home, I had a bag of receipts, and I sat down on my wife's phone because she has the same app, and I loaded her app massively with it until hers ran out of space, and then I did mine because I use mine on the road, and I loaded up dump truck load. But if you want to try it, again, it's a free app. They don't ask you any information. They have your email, I guess, but they don't really ask you for much. And I have a promo code if anybody's interested, and it gives you a big boost off your first receipt, no matter what it is. And if anybody wants to write this down, it's I'll say it phonetically, 4 Tango Fox Quebec Fox Delta. That's my official promo code. 4TFQFD. I am en route from the north side of Houston to Hidalgo. I think I got that right, which is right next to Brownsville, Texas. Yeah, I drove until I dropped from Milwaukee until I couldn't. I was starting to make bad decisions. I made it from the north side of Milwaukee, and you got to remember, I didn't start till 3:30 in the afternoon. I got to Memphis, and I was right in front of the storm. I was kind of getting underneath it, and I turned down 40 from Memphis, and then I started falling asleep. So I pulled in, and I stayed at a truck stop, and I got up, and there was about 3 inches of snow on the ground. I made it maybe 50 miles past Memphis, and the road hadn't been driven on. And these vans, generally speaking, don't do well in the snow. And but with all this weight I have in here, it didn't seem to mind as much. And I got out on the highway, and it was slippery and slidey, and I filmed some of that. And it's in one of my previous videos. And there's always one lane that's plowed pretty good, and then there's one lane that you kind of don't want to mess with because it's slippery, and there was a bunch of heroes trying to pass everybody, and that didn't work out so well. There weren't that many cars on the road. It was just big trucks, and I use this very loosely, but generally speaking, the guys in the trucks know what they're doing. And the further west I got through Little Rock. We're going like 35 miles an hour. I got through Little Rock, and all of a sudden cars started appearing. And when you are driving in super slippery conditions, it's not a good idea to be in a clump of cars. You know what I mean? Kind of like spread it out a little bit. Well, there was a clump of cars in front of me, and I backed maybe 100 yards behind them and just stayed back away from them. And every once in a while, one of them would spin out, and everybody would start slamming on their brakes and getting sideways. And some of that's on film, by the way. I was going, come on, people. Just stay away from everybody. But when the cars got out there, we started having problems. I had one guy, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I'm staying away from everybody. Very few vehicles on the road. I have a guy come up behind me. I'm looking, he's going 25 miles an hour faster than me. And he's sliding between the two lanes. I'm like, oh, great. And he's trying to go past. And as soon as he came up next to me, I let my foot off the gas so he could get past me quicker. And then he was slipping and sliding back all over the road. I'm like, dude, don't be an idiot. And then I got to Texarkana, which is there at the state line. And I turned south on 59. I don't know why, but all of a sudden, the snow wasn't sticking to the road. It's like the Texas soil didn't absorb the cold. And it was piles of snow everywhere, but the road itself was dry, so it got a lot safer. But apparently that snow knocked everything out, because I pulled in, it took me 3 tries to get fuel. First gas station I pulled into, the pump was showing me funny stuff, so I went to walk in and the door was locked, and it said, you can't buy gas in here, power's down. Oh crap. So I got in, went to the next gas station, their power was out, and I went, oh, it was a Love's. And their sign said cash only, and I have exactly $20 in my wallet at this point. And I walked in and I said, well, can I get 20 on pump? She says, no, nothing works. Everything's down. Oh, great, wonderful. So then I got into town there, whatever it was, and I was able to find fuel. And I gassed up and kept going, and then for the next 100 and some odd miles, everything was out of power. Everybody was shut down. Because, like I said, this part of the world isn't really designed for the cold weather. But, you know, what can you do? Yeah, the herd effect is kind of weird. I did manage to get my windshield broken on the drive. I had one of those little cars when it was a Jeep, when shooting past me, got out in front of me, and I hear a bang on my window, and I'm not really thinking much of it. And when you turn the phone, see that white line on the bottom of the screen, right on the windshield line? Yeah. So now when I get back, I get to buy a windshield, which I'm not super excited about that. But we're still moving. We're going, we're past the Woodlands, I think, and we're getting into Spring, Texas, and I'm still at cruise speed. And again, I'm enjoying this because this never happens. Looks like I'm getting a tailwind too, based on this flag off to the left. Really, dude? You need to get in front of me? That's a whole lot closer than it looks on camera, by the way. Anybody from this area probably recognizes this. No, there's no more snow. Not down here especially. I am kind of, we're beneath all that weather. Now you can see high overcast, but I looked at the weather before I took off. There's nothing between here and where I'm headed, which makes my life a little bit easier. But the Northeast, ooh, they're getting into shorts right now. Oh, you in a hurry? Apparently he's in a hurry. He got somewhere to be today. Yeah, she didn't do that. It was supposed to be spaghetti. That's my come home food. City State. This is north of Houston right now, Houston, Texas. I'm filming this because we're moving at highway speeds on I-45 near Houston, which never happens, ever. Sweden! No kidding. Right on. Yeah, I'm just enjoying the fact that the traffic's moving. Like I said, this is weird for this area. But if you notice, the roads are pretty good here. They're not potholed and torn up and everything. East coast of Canada, yeah, that storm's up there too. But Canada can be cold all the time in the winter. Right now, my temperature gauge in the vehicle says 29. On the way down 59 yesterday, my van officially rolled 200,000 miles. And the engine is strong. It doesn't leak oil. It doesn't burn oil. It still runs good. So I'm happy about that. I've spent some money on this thing to keep it running, which will include a new windshield apparently. Also, I am currently heading to Hidalgo? Let's just call it Brownsville, Texas. And it looks like where I'm going is right on the border. When I say right on the border, I mean you could probably throw a rock and hit it. I've been to Laredo a bunch of times. I've never been down to Brownsville. I'm just going to call it Brownsville to drop off 2,500 pounds of these machine parts. These are little tiny pallets. Two of them are knee high, and the two of them are waist high. Well, not even that, thigh high. But they weigh 2,500 pounds. It's some kind of machined parts heading down there. Now, this is probably stuff you could buy out of China, but the Chinese, their type, the way they do their job, their metals are made out of cheaper, less. Metal is a witch's brew, kind of. And I don't think they make the good stuff over there. Yeah, I know what you're saying about seeing no snow when you're surrounded by it. In Colorado, growing up, excuse me, my wife packed me some cheese. I'm trying this out. Pretty good. In Colorado, growing up, it's very dry in the state. And it could snow 2 feet today, and then tomorrow it'll be 70 degrees outside. Piles of snow everywhere, dry roads, riding my motorcycle. It's bone dry. It's just a weird climate, and that's what I grew up in, so to me that was normal. So I ended up moving to a humid climate, and the wintertime is just death. It is so freezing cold outside. You put on, I don't care what you're wearing, the wind just goes through you. People up in the Northeast know what I'm talking about. That humid cold, it's like humid hot. It's just miserable. This is a big spaghetti bowl coming up. This is Highway 8. There's a loop on the inside of Houston, big circle loop, let the big cities have it, it's 610. And you come out further, you have Beltway 8, which is what's right here. And then back behind us was another one. It's called 99. It's like the big outer loop. And as populations, expand and they keep getting bigger and bigger, the loops keep getting further out. That's Beltway 8. It's a toll road. I rarely go on it. Not that I'm a tight ass. Okay, I'm a tight ass, but I don't go on it because it's out of principle. I don't like giving any more money to the government than I absolutely have to. But this is awesome because I've had the cruise control on this whole time. This is absolutely unheard of, having this opportunity to just drive. I'm very much enjoying this. Let's see. He said hi. Gang, I can't pronounce that. What's that flag from? A little red, looks like a little red flag with a white dot or a star in it. I don't know where they're from. Anyway, I was talking about the Fetch app earlier, and that's one of the apps I use out here on the road. And Fetch, you take pictures of receipts and you get points. And they'll try to nudge you in a direction. They'll give you options. Say, hey, if you buy this product, we'll give you all these points. You build up points and you turn it into cash. You can just put it in cash money to your account or on an electronic gift card. And I've been using it for years. And it also has the option to scan your electronic receipts like eBay and Amazon and whatnot. And you can just push a button and it'll scan you and attach it and it'll go through and give you credit for all your purchases. And I told people it's called Fetch, just like you threw a stick to your dog. And I have a promo code, I'll read it off again. It'll give you extra points and it gives me, I don't know, something, but it's 4TFQFD or 4 Tango Fox Quebec Fox Delta. That's military style if you're interested in using it. And they don't get a lot of personal information. They just have like your email. But normally I just pull the money for Amazon. Just move it over there, and then I use that money to buy the oil I use in the van, so I don't have to pay for oil changes. I get the oil and the filter offline. The only thing I buy out of pocket is the oil pans, which are $2.99 at Walmart. Oh, I'm still set on cruise control. Brazil, wow. All right, we are on I-45 southbound. North side of Houston. I'm going to be coming into Houston here in a little while, and I'm going to be breaking off on Highway 59, which drives out in the middle of Nowhereville as it goes along. And Highway 59, years ago, I was going down there. I don't know why. It was on a Friday afternoon. I had my Bug. I had a twin turbo Volkswagen Bug. I don't know what it looks like. I haven't been down 59 in years, but we're heading there right now. But at the time, there was nothing out there. When I say nothing, I mean there wasn't a side road, there wasn't a house, a tree, there wasn't a light pole or a power. There was nothing, just openness. 2 lanes of traffic, 100 miles outside of Houston. It's stop and go traffic. First gear is a stick shift. First gear neutral stop. First gear neutral stop. First gear neutral stop. Why do we have bumper? Whoa. Okay, now I had to kick my cruise control off. Okay, that was just rude. Big old flagpole. See down on the right, you got the American flag and you got the Texas flag. Full size. Back to cruise. Yeah, wow, if roads could be like this. There's a big old Texas flag. Alright. This area is big on heavy equipment and car sales because they don't have rust issues down here because they don't use salt on the roads. So if you're looking around at the vehicles, left and right, you'll notice not one vehicle has a rust spot on it because it's just not a thing down here. The only thing you have to look out for when you're buying a used car that's from the south is has it been in a flood because of the the environment, you can have flood problems down here. And the quickest ways, they the cars go underwater, they have a tendency to smell funny, so they'll have to try to mask the smell. But the two quickest ways to see if a car's been underwater is roll the seat all the way back and look at the runners, the floor piece that the seat slides back and forth on. That is raw metal. If it's a clump of rust, it's been underwater. Also, open the glove box and stick your hands in and like curl your fingers back and try to touch an area you can't really get to and feel if there's any sand or grit. To everyone in Brazil, right on. Yeah, send hugs. Yeah, that's a country that knows how to party. Yeah, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that guy's in a hurry. Argentina elected, I don't know his name. Argentina elected an ultra-conservative president, and he flipped their economy around. Their whole economy got turned upside down and straightened out in 90 days. And economically right now, Argentina is booming. And Brazil just did the same thing. Brazil said, hey, that works, let's try it. And they just got themselves an ultra-conservative president. They're probably going to do the exact same thing. No, you couldn't get any further from New York. This is Houston. This guy's going to jump. Yep. I am on I-45 southbound in what is actually called Spring, Texas, and we're heading towards Houston. We're going to go right into the downtown area and branch off on Highway 59 southwest down the coast towards the Mexican border, actually. What I started filming is I've lived here 25 years and I've never seen this few cars on the road before, including in the middle of the night. So I don't know why, but there's nobody out here today. I know what that is. This guy right here next to us, that's the dog catcher. Recognize the little compartments? We used to hate that guy as a kid. This is not I-10, this is I-45. I-10 is further down. And there's a gas station I want to be hitting once I get out the other side of town. I saw gas prices last night, 202. Saw another station at 205. Houston is, well, if you want to move to the United States, go for it. I recommend going about it legally. Unlike a lot of people who just decide to go. Pick your climate. That's the two bigger things you got to look at when you come to the United States is pick the climate you like, and I guess pick your politics, because people are different. In different parts of the country, people act and do things differently. Some places are very welcoming to new people, and other places are not. They've got their little thing set in, and that's it. They don't want to talk to anybody else. I know a guy that many years ago moved up into New England, and New England, they don't like new people coming in. They just like who lives there. And this guy bought a house. I don't know what were the owners' name? Bill and Sherry. Bought a house off of Bill and Sherry and lived there for 10 years. And the neighbors go, "Oh, you live in Bill and Sherry's house?" And he's like, "I think after 10 years it's my house, but not according to them." All right, here's another. This is the inside loop. This is 610. We're about to see the high rises here in a second. Again, no rust on any cars. And there in the background is the skyline of Houston. There was a joke somebody said, because this city is not a whole lot of high rises, more spread out, low down, because you got a lot of real estate. Somebody said, if you live here, you'll understand this statement. Houston is 2 hours from Houston. Which is true. So there's your little off to the right there. There's your big buildings. Like I said, we're going to go right to the middle of this. On this, whoa, piece of wood. That's right. So there's the turnoff for 610. That's the inner loop. Now, when you get into the downtown area, sometimes these roads roughen up a little bit. Like I said, if you live here, you know it's true. Let me tell you how everybody's, wherever they live, they always say, oh, the traffic is bad, the traffic is bad. I was on the 610 loop once, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and there was, people joke, they say, oh, I could have gotten out of the car and walked faster. I could have gotten out of the car on my hands and knees and gone faster than the traffic was moving. That's how ridiculous it was. And that happens a lot. So like I said, this is crazy right here for me to be able to zip into town. I've always been fascinated. Yeah. I've always been fascinated by what a city looks like at night when the buildings are lit up, and a lot of these high-rises have neon lights and stuff, and they have that down here. And it just looks cool, because I used to drive through here because of my job. I used to come through here at night all the time, getting off work. Those are the days. Okay, we're getting into the zone here. I'm going to hit... Yeah, we're going to go through 10. It's wanting me to get off on 10, but I don't want to. I want to go straight to 59. I'll tell you what, I'm going to try 10. No, I'm going to go to 59. Hold on. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to get off on 10. They're doing some stuff downtown. Crap. Didn't want to. All right, sliding back over. They just put me on 59.69 up here. And right before Hurricane Katrina, we had what was called Tropical Storm Allison in this area right here. This camera would have been underwater when it flooded. At the time, it was the biggest flooding of an American major city. Ramp closed, I-10 West road work. Okay, I wanted to get off on I-10 West road. Okay, never mind. We're going to be going through town because I can't get off at I-10. What's the question? Do you like collards? Collards? I don't even know what that word means. Collards? Are you talking about... Look at that's closed, communists. Are you asking about people? I like everybody. I get along with everybody. It's easier that way. There's people that live their lives being mad, being uptight, being not liking this, liking that. Colors. You mean just people? Nobody bothers me. I don't care. I look at people. Are you an okay person or are you a jackass? That's pretty much the criteria I go with. Okay, here we go. Staying in. Not doing that. There's a famous bridge. Where is it? It's a sign people paint. It says "Be somebody." It'll be up here. There it is. Right in front of us. See that? That's a famous thing, and that's referenced to in a lot of movies and stuff. That "Be someone." God is my witness. I have never seen this road this open before. This is awesome. There's the high rises. Man, if this could be like this, I would stay here forever. I'm glad we caught this on film. It's doing as good as New York City. Nope, not New York City. This is Houston, baby. There it is. There's my turnoff. The 288 turnoff coming up. More high rises. There's a Ferris wheel. Some more buildings in the distance. This is called Buffalo Springfield, Buffalo, something. This area right through here. Right there, that's a fancy townhouse complex. I've actually been in there. Alright, I should stop playing with the phone, because I keep bouncing it around. Hold on a second. Buffalo Speedway? Yeah. But it's Buffalo Bayou or something around here. Alright. More high rises. In front of you, those are other fancy schmancy townhomes. Alrighty, now we're gonna go. Hold on a sec here. That guy go by. I let cars go by. I let the momentum go by when people are going real fast because I'm running really heavy right now. This is the downtown rise. There's a a BMW dealership coming up here on the right. And they have their vehicles in this glass case up high, because we're up off the ground here, and they put them on display. That's a high-rise right there. That was built in 1960. I looked to move into that place. They have trash chutes where you're up on the high floors. You go down the hall, open the door, put your trash in, and it goes all the way through the building. I always got a kick out of that. All right, I'm going to show you this Buffalo Bayou. That's it. You're right. Here's the car dealer coming up right here. This BMW. Take a look at this. They usually have cars in the windows right there. Oh, it's all office buildings. Okay, that was disappointing. Alrighty, here's our big truck. Wow, we're just rolling through here. That building wasn't there last time. Yeah, I haven't been down here in a while. Again, still decent roads. Victoria, see that sign? That's where we're headed. 5969 is the sign right in front of us. I'm going to chase this down to the middle of nowhere. Nowhere. Don't you do it. You don't need to be over here. Don't you do it. You're lucky. I would have got my mother involved. Again, this area here is usually a nightmare. I know this lane merges into another lane. They just kind of share the same lane, and they don't warn you about it. So when you have a wall of traffic coming through here, everybody all of a sudden wants to swap paint, like this guy next to me. Yeah, I saw you right there. See, all of a sudden we're into one lane. I used to fly down here. When I was flying medical, I used to come into this area. They call this the medical center. All right, back to cruise. There we go. There's a water break in Chili Rocks. Oh, okay. Oh, I am currently westbound, and my GPS says my next turn is in 200 miles. So this is westbound through the bottom part of Houston here. We'll stay in this lane. Wow, this is awesome. Well, I've seen this before. Yeah, they have a lot of neon lights on these bridges right here, and it usually looks pretty cool at night. All kinds of crazy lights. You can actually see them mounted up there. But on the occasions you get flooding, and the reason we have flooding issues down here is when a huge storm brews up out in the Gulf, and it comes inland and it dumps, 14 jillion gallons of water. The water ends up here, and then the storm continues to the northeast, and then it dumps 14 jillion more gallons of water. And all that water gets in the rivers and comes back here again. So it's, you're catching it from multiple angles. Yeah, this area looks cool at night. You see these little, looks like artillery guns sticking out. Oh, there's a big old soccer ball at the end of the bridge. That's neat. But yeah, this whole area, they neon lighted the crap out of this. I'm going to be coming back tomorrow. I'm dropping in the morning. I guess probably going to be the wrong time. My drop is at 8 in the morning, and I'm coming straight back up here. I'm done. And if I could get this in the dark, this would look cool. If I get in the dark where the traffic moves, let me start over again, because this is absolutely wonderful. It is now 33 degrees, so it's officially above freezing at this point. Wow, I could get used to driving in conditions like this. You're wondering, I'm currently going 62. And I think the speed limit's 60. That's why everybody's passing me. If anybody's looking to move, the cost of living in Houston is substantially lower than big parts of the country. And if you're ever trying to wonder if you can pack up and afford to go somewhere, Google the phrase salary, whoa, big gust of wind, salary comparison or salary computer, and it'll say, you know, I live in Des Moines, Iowa, and I want to move to Shreveport, Louisiana, and I'm just making up numbers, I make $50,000, and they go, okay, it will cost 96% of what you're making to live in Shreveport, because it'll break down housing, utilities, food, transportation, medical costs, so you can know, how far does your paycheck go. Because when I was flying out in the Gulf, the company I used to work for was stationed in Louisiana, and they bought a company that was in Northern California, and I believe it was called Arctic Air, and they were flying S-76s to some kind of platform. I am getting knocked senseless, by the way, by this wind. That's why the camera's bouncing. They flew out into the Pacific Ocean to some kind of processing plants or something, and all these guys were like, yeah, I want to go there, and I went, hold on there, Skippy. You want to take your Louisiana paycheck and go live in California with that same paycheck? Is that the plan? Oh, yeah, it's fine. No, it doesn't, because the amount of money won't get you anywhere in California. Which is why all the people in California like to sell their houses and move out, because they can sell their house that costs $800,000-$900,000 and come out to here where we are standing right now and buy the same house for $175,000. But you can't go the other direction. Yeah, but it's supposed to freeze where tonight? I'm hoping not down by the border. That's where I'm going. I stayed at a Roach Motel in Michigan, South Central Michigan the other night. It was Motel 6, and Motel 6 comes in two options: a really nice, real basic hotel, or a dump. And this one turned out to be a dump. And I had to bring my heavy blanket out of the van and my floor heater into the room. That's how bad it was. So when it gets, if I'm not in a hotel and it gets super cold, I have my generator in here I use for air conditioner, but I keep it in the van for just the heater because it burns like 1,500 watts of power, and I will hook that up and let that run inside the van at night. But yeah, the wind is kicking right now, and I'm kind of getting bounced a little bit here. Yeah, whoa, look at all this ice on the road. Whoa. Where'd that come from? This kind of bumpy going over this bridge, and I think a truck went over there and had been snowed up, and I think he hit a bump and everything fell out from underneath him. That's what I'm saying. I've never driven. I've lived here since 2001, and I've never driven on these roads through Houston and had it this wide open, including the middle of the night. That's why I'm filming this, because I don't think anybody would believe me if I go home and say, you're not going to believe what happened. No, they wouldn't. Big bump. And as we continue this way, we're going to start leaving town, and it's going to start lightening up. The buildings are going to start going away. Yeah, this video right here with a voiceover telling people to move to Houston because look how uncrowded it is would be the biggest lie they'd ever seen. Yeah, especially when you're, the crosswinds, especially when you're driving something that's a giant sailboat with a whole bunch of weight in the rear end. That's kind of, pulling me around a little bit. Ooh. Let's see, how's it looking? 17.9. Wow. I haven't been down here in years. Yeah, my last van that I had was the Ford Transit super tall one that's super long. That one would eat some wind going down the road. That was problematic on windy days. Oh. look off to the right, you can see 2 flagpoles. That kind of gives you an idea what the wind's doing right now. In my 200,000-mile van. So yeah, I pick up. I usually have to wait a day or so when I go back in service here near Houston, and they get me some in this area, going back to the northeast part of the United States, which is the core, as they call it, for this kind of work. And I'll run up there for usually about 3 weeks, and then I'll tell them, okay, I need a Texas run or Louisiana, something that gets close to home. And they found me this one, north side of Milwaukee, going down by Brownsville, and I'm like, perfect. It's 1,500 something miles, but it gets me back home. Venezuela. Hey, how are things going down there? I know you guys had a big dust up, and it seems like people were pretty happy about what happened down there, that they got that government kind of straightened out a little bit. It seems like they were very unfriendly to the people of Venezuela. I'm curious, how are things now? It's been, what, a few weeks? Yeah, this is H-Town. We're on 5969, depending on what you want to call it. I'm heading down towards the border by Brownsville. I've got a medium roof, tall van. I got 2,500 pounds of machine parts in the back and a crosswind. So we're getting smacked around here a little bit. There's Herman Memorial. I've been on top of that. When I flew the RGV, the RGV, think of there's Channel 2, the George R. Brown. You ever been to the George R. Brown Convention Center? A buddy of mine builds classic cars and show cars, and he had me help him out once they went to a car show. That George R. Brown building, I don't want to say it's a large structure, but when everybody left, he did this intentionally. He brought a bowling ball and rolled it. Put some stank on it. He rolled it, and it didn't quite make it across the room when it stopped. Yeah, that's when we went. It wasn't a trade show, it was a car show. But that, you stand on one end of that building, it's hard to tell who you're looking at on the other end. It's just so far apart. But that was an interesting, those car shows. Oof. What's funny is when you build a show car, and most people don't understand what a show car is. They just think it's a classic car somebody brought in. It's a car that's been stripped down to nothing and built from the bottom up. And the cars standing in front of or sitting there in front of you, you can turn the car upside down and eat off the bottom of it. But people always ask, is that for sale? The answer is yes, but they don't want to hear the numbers involved, because you go to a car show like that, you're talking about, there's nothing sitting in that room that's going to go for less than $100,000. And a lot of people don't understand this isn't Bob's Discount Car Lot where they took an old car and just kind of hammered it into shape and put some paint on it. There's a whole lot more going on. Did they use some Houston Skyline? 2 Dallas intros. I have no idea if they use it. Houston in general is so spread out. Yeah, that was a 50. Correct. I'm taking 59 to 77. Yeah, that was something I mentioned earlier, that they say Houston is 2 hours from Houston. And you go up to New York and you have high-rise buildings everywhere. It's a lot more difficult to build a high-rise in soft soil. It's a lot trickier. I grew up in Colorado, and I travel up the north and northeast, and everybody has a basement. Well, around here, a basement is unheard of because of the soil. You can do it, but it's extremely complicated because the soil is too shifty. Everybody has a house on a slab, and you occasionally have to reinforce the slab. It's just the ground's too soft for it. So that's why the high rises are kind of in limited numbers. As you can see back there, the town is spread out flat because they've got unlimited amounts of real estate to build on down here. Now, when I was flying medical, we went down to Victoria, which is, I'm actually heading towards Victoria right now I don't know, I was taking somebody down there, bringing somebody back, but we flew down to Victoria, which not too long in a helicopter, kind of long on the road. And on the way back, on the way down, I saw these solar farms. They buy this real estate that no one's doing anything with. They put solar panels all over the place. And they were so incredibly large numbers and spread out that I actually... I can say this now because I don't fly anymore. You can't play with your phone. You talk about not playing with your phone going down the road in your car. Well, they get really emotional when you play with your phone when you're flying. So not only do they record your conversation in the aircraft, they have a camera looking at the instrument panel, and they also record the attitude of the aircraft. The attitude being nose up, nose down, lean left, lean right, the pitch and yaw of the aircraft. So they're recording everything you're doing. Well, I had my phone. I brought a phone mount, and I had it over on the right by the window where you couldn't see it on the camera. And as I was flying along, I flipped on the camera and I recorded the solar farm flying over it. And it went on for miles and miles and miles. And I posted that. It's somewhere in my playlist, and I don't even know what I put it under. It might be under Scenic Route. I don't really know. But the solar farms down here are absolutely incredible. And the Houston area, this is the energy capital of the world. This is where it all comes from. This is where it's all built. And if you look at the U.S. power grid, you have the East grid, the East Coast grid, the eastern half of the United States. You have the West side grid, and you have the Texas grid. It's its own setup. So they have, this is where the energy is. This is where Chevron and Mobil and all the big companies come and set up. Anadarko, I don't even know if they're around anymore, but Anadarko, Marathon, all the big companies are here. Very much enjoying this drive. Yeah, if there's anybody on here from Houston, yes, we are in Texas. And we are driving, I have driven from north of the Woodlands, southbound through the downtown area and out to here, and this is what the traffic has looked like. And that's why I'm filming this, because nobody's going to believe this that lives in this area. If I show this to somebody, they're going to go, you AI'd that. Because this is always bumper to bumper. Oh, with a burning hot passion, would I hate this drive. When you're down here and you got to drive up north where I'm like, oh God, here we go. Stop and go, stop and go, stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. You're just so mad you want to jump out of the van and punch a baby. That's pretty angry. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the Woodlands. I don't tell people where I live, but I'm the town above. I'm right up north of you there. One town up. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This has been magical. Absolutely magical, this drive. I should knock on wood. Okay, crosswind. Yeah, so this is 59. I'm heading southwestbound, and I'm chasing this another 184 miles to, I guess, Victoria. And I got used, when I was flying the medical helicopter, they used me as the fill in the gap guy a lot, and they had me pick up a helicopter here in Houston and fly it to Victoria, and they just wanted me to drop it off. I wasn't bringing one back, and they say, the company's like, yeah, just go rent a car, we have an account with Hertz, and just rent a car and drive it up here. So I called Hertz, and there's two ways to rent a car. There's a local rental and a one-way rental, and a whole bunch of companies or a whole bunch of branch offices don't do one-way rentals because they lose the car and they want to keep that particular car around. So I said, I need a one-way, and they're like, nope. And I called the office. I said, what do I do? And he said, rent it as a local, drive it one way and drop it off, and they'll get pissed off about it. We'll pay them an extra $100, which is what they charge, or they'll get mad, but there's nothing they can do about it. And he goes, oh, okay. So I rented a local rental, and I drove it back to Houston up to where I live, and I dropped the car off, and I told the guy what I did, and he goes, so much for those guys. Hey, I like it was a Sentra, a Nissan Sentra. And the guy's like, cool, we're keeping this one here. I was like, right on, dude. He goes, oh, heck yeah. Feel free to bring us more cars in the future, because they're always needing vehicles. I didn't realize how wildly massive the car rental industry was. My mother used to work for Hertz back years ago. She worked there for 20 plus years at the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. And I think she said they had 7,000 or 8,000 cars, and they would they would start running out of cars. I'm like, how do you run out of 8,000 cars? Anybody start partying like, panting like a dog? No, I don't think I will. He said they would run out of cars on a regular basis. And this is something you got to remember. When you go buy a used car, Hertz is owned by Ford. That's just one example. And then there's Avis and all the other Enterprise. The car manufacturers will throw one of their cars as a rental, brand new, run it for a year, and then sell it on the used car lot as a used car. So when you're looking at a 1-year-old used car with around 12,000 miles on it, what you're probably buying is a rental car. The problem with buying a rental car is it's been driven by people like, I don't know, me. People don't take care of rental cars properly. People don't drive them. So keep that in mind. You buy a used car. I used to live behind Lakewood Church, the old complex. Oh yeah, right in the middle of downtown. Oklahoma, American caliber from Russia. Yeah, I bet it's cold over in Russia right now. Right now, I'm showing 30 degrees. It's fluctuating. So, how badly do rental cars get treated? Well, let me give you an example. I rented a 2000 in March of 2000. I rented what turned out to be the last year of the Volkswagen Bug. It was a 2019 black Volkswagen Bug. I had the car for 10 days, and it cost me $349. I put 7,000 miles on the car. Houston, New York City, Los Angeles, back to Houston. I had the car in my possession for 10 days. Now, why did I do that? It's called the Cannonball Run. Now, do you know how cars are treated that are cannonballing? Not well. And unfortunately, the car had a governor on it. It wouldn't go over 115. Ooh, there's some cranes there on the left. That's heavy construction going on. Okay, we are slowly working our way out of town, out of Houston. We're probably not in Houston proper at this point, but we're getting out of town. This is kind of cool. I am wearing a t-shirt and a thermal top, and I am now going to perform the incredibly difficult task of taking off a thermal top while driving down the road and wearing a seatbelt. Okay, I'm halfway there. Let me see if I can do this without losing my headset. Whoa! I did it. I impress myself sometimes. All right, there we go. Now I'm not overheating. You thought I wasn't going to make it. Alrighty, still getting blown around. Yeah, Sugarland. Okay, there's a water tower over there. We are passing through Sugarland, Texas. This used to be an area where they did a lot of, they manufactured sugar. They had sugar trees or whatever back in the day. They don't do anymore. But that's where that name came from. Well, I would hope they had great Mexican food in Brownsville. I mean, come on now. I'm going to find out tonight. I'm staying at a Pilot down there for the evening. Oh, look at this. The road splits. All right, I'm going to go this way. Just because it's something different. This is kind of weird construction here. This looks almost permanent. Hey, hi back at who's on there. I can't spend too much time looking down, but hi back at you. Let me bump this up. I'm doing 60. I'm going to bump it up a teeny bit. Florida, yeah. There are, on I-10 across Louisiana, there's a couple of bridges that are really, really long up over the swamps. I think they're called a Atchafalaya Bridge. They go for miles and miles and miles, and everybody gets up on that bridge and punches it. The problem is you come off the end of the bridge and it kind of drops down. There's always a cop sitting there waiting. What I do is not called Hot Shot. It's called Expediting. Hot Shot is a local delivery guy. The big truck's taken to a warehouse, and the Hot Shot driver delivers it to the end user there locally. Expediter, which is my job in the van, is I actually pick it up from the manufacturer or the point of origin, and I deliver it directly to the end user. In this case, it's a company that ships across the border in Mexico. So this load, this 2,500 pounds of love I've got in the back of this thing, I picked up at a manufacturer company north of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I picked it up Friday. And it's a weekend run, and it's got to be delivered at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's got to go through the whole customs thing, and then they're going to shoot it across the border. Yeah, so Hot Shot is local. Hot Shot are the guys that go home every night, and they usually have a fifth wheel trailer on a pickup truck. This is a van, and there are people that do it in vans, but they're going to stay local. And the problem with Hot Shot is, in that job, is you've got so much competition because everybody wants to go to work and go home at night to their home. This job, you're out on the road. It's a little different. There's a lot of competition here too, but Hot Shot drivers, everybody and their brother wants to be a Hot Shot driver. So it's a little different. It's called expediting, and again, I call it miniature truck driving. It's the same concept of a job as truck driving, except I don't have to deal with all the issues that truckers deal with, because the gross weight on my van, even loaded down, is under 10,000 pounds. So I have a CDL, I don't operate under it. I don't have to keep logbooks because I'm not an 18-wheeler. I don't have to fight, kick, and claw to find someplace to park. But I can drive this home, I can drive it to the grocery store. It's just way easier to do. I can drive for 20 hours if I want to. Whereas the truckers have all kinds of limits. That's why I like doing this. No, I don't do. I did the math the other day. So far during this job, I have driven 280,000 miles in the two vans that I've owned. I've never gone through a commercial vehicle checkpoint. I've never gone through a weigh station. I've never been pulled over. You know, we're invisible. And what's interesting is I wasn't paying any attention, and there was really no reason to do so. But if you happen to look around, these white vans are everywhere. The Ford Transit, the Mercedes Sprinter, and the Dodge ProMaster are the three biggies. And if you're driving around and you happen to notice a white van, look at the license plate. It's not local. It's going to say New Jersey or Pennsylvania or Georgia or something. I don't care where you are. What makes me a liar? You're so far back, I don't know what you're lying about. And this van, I'm putting probably 9,000 miles a month on it. I mean, I'm driving the P-Watt out of this thing. I started driving last March. I put new tires on the van, and I replaced the tires a few weeks ago. They had 82,000 miles on them. On the way to Virginia, yeah, but I'm down in Texas. And I'm going southbound towards the Mexican border. Do I fish? When I used to work out in the Gulf, I used to fish all the time. That was just something that came with the job. We would catch, what do they have out there? A red snapper? Redfish, red snapper were the two big ones. And a ling, L-I-N-G. We used to catch those all the time. But since I've gotten out of the Gulf, I really haven't gone fishing much. When I retire, that may change. And I'm 57. I still got a few years to go. But yeah, we used to fish out there. You reel in redfish and red snapper. It was absolutely incredible how much of that. I do have a funny story about redfish, about red snapper. When you fish offshore in the saltwater and you come in, there are legal limits to how much fish you can catch, and you're not allowed to fillet it. You got to bring in the solid fish. So Fish and Game would check. You know, sometimes check you when you're coming in on your boat to make sure you aren't over the limit. Well, when we were working out deep, you just can't have fish lying around, so you have to fillet them, and they freeze it and they wrap it in old newspaper and put it in the freezer. And then the day we would do a crew change, you know, a couple weeks in, people would fill up their coolers with the filleted fish. Well, Fish and Game knew what day the crew changes were going on at the heliport, so they would, you know, intercept aircraft landing at the heliport, be checking to see if anybody was bringing any filleted fish, because technically you're not supposed to do it. So we're flying in. Everybody's got their little coolers with them. Move back over. And somebody comes up on the radio and says, "Hey, Fish and Game's at the base." Oh, crap. So, you know, we beach in. It's a couple miles, maybe 2 miles in is where the heliport is. So we land on a dirt road, like an episode of Miami Vice, and set the cooler in the ditch, and then fly the rest of the way in and land. Then, of course, the Fish and Game kind of comes out there and pokes around, and then the guys get in their car and drive over there and pick up their cooler and, you know, go home. It's just part of the game, right? This is about 20 years ago. And then I went out for another crew change. I came back, and the same thing. A guy had their cooler. We go to land, and there were 3 other coolers. Because everybody was doing the same thing, which I got a kick off of. Yeah, we did. The oil platforms, that's what we were. You go down to the plus 10, which is the deck on a COM-C. It's 10 feet above the water line. It's called the plus 10. You go down there and fish, and yeah, you can catch some pretty massive things. That was a little side benefit of the job. There are certain companies that said, oh, you can't fish out here because somebody got a hook in their hand and they had to evacuate it or some crap. And this is weird. You are heading just ordered chicken sausage. Yo, I'm going Houston. I'm going down to Brownsville. Let's just call it Brownsville, right on the border. And apparently my drop off is right up. I mean, like, from looking at the map, I could be 50 yards or I could be a mile. It's kind of hard to tell. I don't know the size of the area. But apparently I'm going right up against the border with this one to a company down there. It's a shipping company. I've been to Laredo probably 30 times. I've never been down over by Brownsville, so this is going to be a first. And the one thing I thought was weird about Laredo is there is so much truck traffic down there because it's a major shipping port. As I'm sitting in traffic and I have 18-wheelers 360 degrees around me, I don't know if I'm 200 feet from a traffic light or 2 miles because I can't see anything. I'm totally surrounded by trucks looking around going, well, this is odd. Rosenberg. Yeah, I'll be going through Rosenberg. Yeah, fresh fish. I'm one of those people that I like fish that doesn't have the, quote, heavy-duty fishy taste, which is why I always like ling. It was a white fish. You cut it, and it would come out like in a cube with a little cross or something. I like ling fish. But yeah, fresh fish is wonderful, and there's a lot of it out here. And when you fly out here in the Gulf, you start knowing where the hidey holes are and the fishing holes are, where they all hang out. Rosenberg. Yeah, I don't know if I'm there yet, but yeah, we're heading that direction. So come on, GPS here a little bit. Woo, 28 degrees. Yeah, Rosenberg has been growing recently. The whole area is kind of, the population has started to expand rapidly. They've put a lot of housing developments down in this part of the world. And like I said, you could buy a house down here, coming southwest out of Houston, you can get a brand new home, a very, very nice home, very large, very nice home for $250. You take that same house and put it in California, and it's $1.6 million. Same house. Yes, I'm going through El Campo. I looked at the map. I'm driving right through there, going down here to Victoria, hitting 77 and going south. And we have these little tiny I have a plastic container full of dry cat food, and I've got a half a dozen little containers of cat food. I like to feed cats at rest areas and truck stops, stray cats. It's the thing I do because people open the back of the van and they go, "You have a cat?" And I go, "No, I just have cat food." So there's a couple of rest areas by Laredo. I know they've got cats living there, but I don't know what I'm up against on this one. Yeah, El Campo. So you see what I mean? Now we're outside of Houston. Look at this, 3 lanes to work with, and there's nothing out here. The population just kind of falls away. But I really enjoy this drive. I got a pretty strong wind coming off my right side right now. You have family down there. Yeah, this is an area. Like I said, the cost of living down here is so much less than the rest of the country, and the taxes are less. There's no income tax in Texas. I mean, they're not taking it out of your check. And this is a little bit older information, a couple of years ago, but it seemed like California was their budget shortfall had them in a big hole in the ground. At the same time, Texas had a budget surplus of $45 billion. They're not even taxing people down here, and they had an extra $45 billion in their coffers. And they said, okay, that's enough reserves. So they started dropping. The only thing they get you for is property tax. So they cut the property tax almost in half for everybody. They know how to run the state. The state is run properly. And I looked at a map, and you can do an overlay of this. The state of Texas, as a blanket, you lay it over Western Europe, and it covers up the whole thing. Because Texas just goes on forever. You can cross the border from Louisiana going westbound on I-10. You come across on 10, you look up and there's a sign. It says El Paso, 983 miles. I mean, can you imagine driving 1,000 miles on one road and still being in the same state? And you're still there, still on that same road 1,000 miles later. That's how big this place is. Alrighty, let's see here. The gas mileage is doing all that great at 18, which is horrible. You say about the traffic. I'm thinking it's the weather threat because I've been out here on the weekends and there's cars all over the place. I'm saying in 25 years, I've never seen this few cars on the road in the Houston area. Day or night, I don't care what's going on. This is weird. I was driving around on Christmas Day and there were more cars on the road at 9 o'clock in the morning. This is weird. I'm very much enjoying it though. I left a little bit early wondering if I was going to deal with any icing or traffic or something. And this is what I got. This is awesome. Whoa, get blown around still. Yeah, they build bridges here. When I run around the East Coast, up in the Northeast, you start noticing little things like bridges, and they use metal bridges out east, and they've got this very decorative framework, and it looks like something out of the 40s or 50s, and I kind of like to look at it. And here, the bridges are solid, and they look like they've always got some kind of frame inside of it. Yeah, I know this is a one-off. This traffic is a one-off. I think the ones out east are more decorative. I think they look cool, but they're higher maintenance because of rust issues and stuff. But they're just kind of boring down here. This part of the world. The bridges just aren't interesting to look at. There's some housing developments off to the side here. Well, that was it. That was Houston. Yeah, I'm going to be coming home. I'm dropping. I think the drop is for 8 in the morning. I'll probably be there at 7:30. And then I'm going to head home. So it's 390 miles. And I'm going to blast up here. And with my luck, I'll be right smack in the middle of rush hour. And it's weird because in my brain, with Houston, in the mornings, rush hour goes into town. And in the evenings, rush hour goes out of town. Well, Houston doubles down. It is hard to get in and hard to get out. Morning or evening, it's the same, which is maddeningly frustrating. $28 degrees. Everybody's watching this. Where are you at? Is this storm affecting you, or are you overseas? I mean, I'm curious where people are. Is this a TA coming up? I am down to a quarter tank of fuel, so I'm going to be having to get gas here pretty quick. Is this going to be my fuel stop? This might be my fuel stop here. Which means I'll have to put my coat back on. Yeah, I think I'm going to pull off here and get gas and see what the price is. 2 something, 2. I think that's almost high. $2.39. For this part of the world, that's high. But I have my my veteran discount thing, which is 10 cents, so I get $2.29. But I have to go in and pay for it. Bakersfield, California. I'm in Seattle, never been to Texas. It's different. Yeah, $2.39. Wow, that seems high. But I get my shower credits here. I'm going to pull in and get gas, and I've never done this before, but I'm going to let this roll because I actually have to run in and pay for the fuel inside and then come back out and put it in. So I'm going to leave this on, and we'll get back on the highway here in a second, see what else is going on. Ooh, as I'm stopping, I can feel that cold air. Woo! That was weird. Bakersfield. Every movie you watch, everybody says, we're going to Bakersfield. It's like the universal place. Yeah, $2.39 is high for gas. Here it is. Okay, I need somebody's help here to do some math so I don't have to mess with my phone. Somebody get out a calculator. Get ready. I got one for you. I want to go 18 times 229. What does that turn out to be? Because if I start messing with my phone, it'll screw up the stream. Anybody got it for me? 41.22. All right, I'm going to go in and do an even $41 on one. I'm going to leave this running. I'm going to walk in. It's probably going to disconnect my headset, but give me a moment. I'm going to pay for this to come right back out. Stand by. Go.
Attention professional drivers, we currently have no wait for a shower. Please park your truck, come inside and get a clean, hot shower. Thank you for stopping at Pilot.
29. All right, plug it in. I hate these screaming advertisements they have out here. All right, I gotta sit in it. It is cold out there. Woo! All right, I'm back. $3.79 in Bakersfield. Now, $2.39 is high. I saw a $2.05 yesterday. Yeah, extremely quiet roads. Do you recommend visiting Houston? Why not? It's got some interesting museums and whatnot. Whew. It's cold out there. Give me a minute here. Let me fuel up the old hoopty. Save my receipt. Yeah, I do the Fetch app, and I start having receipts piling up that I can't put in, and it's maddening not being able to put them on your phone because they're starting to pile up. Well, I just pulled all my receipts into the Hacienda and was able to put all of them in and put them in my bag. Hold on here. Has anybody ever messed with a food truck? You know, the trucks that come up and they pop the sides open, they sell food. They actually have a parking lot in downtown Houston that's just for food trucks. It's kind of a neat experience, and it's good food. It's not garbage. It's not like a hot dog stand. It's actually really good food. And they have a whole bunch of them that show up at the same time, and it's kind of a cultural icon that people go there to use it. Okay, you're at $28. Whew, it's cold outside. If I wasn't an idiot, I'd put a coat on, but that would be like using my brain. And no one's ever accused me of doing that. Hold on here, almost out of here. Yeah, Woodlands is really nice. Very nice area. They got some cool shops, nice restaurants and whatnot. Upscale grocery stores that have all the specialty stuff. They got a thing that goes on down here, and if you're on the road a lot, you'll see this. You see a regular older car driving down the road, towing another car that has its bumper taken off, which is towing another car that has its bumper taken off. It's always a set of three, and you'll see a convoy of them going down the road. And what they're doing, and I told this, oh, I'm gonna turn the pump off. Hold on. Hey-ya! Closed. Get back in. And we came upon a convoy of these going down the road. And I told my wife, when we go by this car, the driver of the car is going to be a 30-year-old Mexican guy with a mustache. And she looks at me. We go by, and it's being driven by a 30-year-old Mexican guy with a mustache. And she looks at me, and I said, so will the next one. And she goes by, looks over, 30-ish-year-old guy with Mexican guy with a mustache. And she goes, how did you do that? I said, because that's all that you always see that. What happens, this guy taught me this, that in Mexico, you can import used cars without paying some hefty fine or fee or something. The criteria is the car has to be at least 10 years old. So that's why you look for the age of the cars. And he wasn't kidding, because you see those. If you're looking around, you'll see them all the time. And then what happens is they drop the cars off to wherever they're selling them to, and these guys pile into a white van, passenger van, and then they come back up here and they do it again. And the van chases them back south, and the van's usually towing a vehicle or two also. But you'll see that all the time. Yeah, and it's incredible, because the used car market in Houston is absolutely insane. And I had a buddy that had a dealer's license, and we went to one of these auctions. And these auctions are all over the place. And you'll walk into this fenced-in area, and there'll be acres and acres and acres of cars. I mean, hundreds of vehicles at the auctions, and all of them have the keys in them. And they all have paperwork stuck to the windshield, so you know the lot number and whatnot. And you can get in them, open them up, start them up, do whatever you need to do. And then they'll have multiple lines where these people who work there, and the only way you know they work there is they're wearing a special vest. And they'll run these cars through these auction lines. And there's people milling around. And you get the car, you walk in, you pay your fees or whatever. You get the car, and then you drive off. And it's like every day. It's not like a once-a-month deal. Wow, that wind is blowing. All right, we are topped off, and we are back on the road. You haven't seen the auction? Oh, the auctions are crazy. And these guys buy cars, and it's just, there's like 4 rows, and they drive in the building, and you know, you're waiting for your lot number to come around, and it's an absolutely crazy thing. And then they have what, in this part of the world, what they refer to as a Mexican car lot. A Mexican car lot is a no-brand lot that's probably got cars that have been wrecked a few times, and a regular dealership doesn't want anything to do with it. And you'll see these, it's the buy here, pay here setup. It's for people that have bad credit or no credit. And they'll say $800 down, and the payment's $125 a week. They don't trust you for a full month. So whatever the down payment is usually what the dealership has in the car. $800, they paid $800 for the car at the auction because it's a cheap car. And then the people start making 1 or 2 payments, and then they ultimately stop. and somewhere in the car is a tracking device, and they go pick the car up, repo it, and they sell it again for $800 and $125 a month or whatever. They'll resell the same car 5 or 6 times before somebody actually pays the car off and owns it. That's why they have so many of these quote-unquote Mexican car lots, is because they're constantly reselling the same car and they're making money hand over fist. That's why you have so many of them. But usually the cars that make it on that lot, you really don't want to buy. But if you're in a situation where you don't have any money or your credit's all screwed up, that's what you got to do. But car, yeah, if you're ever bored, you can go to a car auction. You don't need any special license to get in. You can, without a dealer's license, you can't buy anything, but you can go watch. You know? Yeah, you can go in there and watch. It's interesting. It's interesting just to watch the process of people buying these used cars. And a lot of them send them overseas. But yeah, that's, you know, if you're looking to sell cars, money's in used cars. That new cars, the dealers make their money off of maintenance and service. But used cars, that business is crazy. And a friend of mine was buying a vehicle for his son, who was 18, bought him a used Dodge truck, and he brought me with him because I like to. Some people hate the wheeling and dealing of cars. I love doing car purchases. I like the game. I understand the game. And we went in and he brought me to be the negotiator. And I kind of took over the negotiated deal. He bought this very nice, as a Dodge truck. And it was at one of those lots, and it had some body damage that had been repaired. This is the guy that restores classic cars, by the way, so he knows body work. He looked at it, he said, okay, it got hit here, the body's been repaired. It's not phenomenal, but it's, you know, the frame's not damaged. He knows what he's looking at. And we went in and wheeled the deal, and I kind of took over the wheel and the deal, and we got it right where we wanted it. And out the door, it was $9,500. And, you know, they're getting ready to work the buy here, pay here crap. And he looks at me, and I walk out, and I come in with the envelope, and he hands the guy $9,500 in cash. And I don't think that guy had seen money like that in his entire life, because he counted it like 4 times. He couldn't believe that someone would just walk in there and drop cash at that kind of a dealership. And he's had that car now for that truck. God, he's had the truck for like 6 years. He still runs like a top, no problems. It didn't have all those many miles on or anything. Oh yeah, that's rail stuff going on over there. Yeah, that's the stackable. I had to learn that word. That box right there, they can pick that up off the train and set it on a frame, and all of a sudden it's a truck going down the road. That's called, I think they call that intermodal. Those boxes right there. But you'll see those going down the road. They pick them up and they set them on like a open framed trailer. And an 18-wheeler picks it up and goes wherever. Yeah, containers. But they talk about, oh, we do intermodal. What does that word even mean? And they go, oh, it's that. I go, oh, okay. Yeah, chassis. Yeah, it's just an open frame chassis. And they somewhat bolt it down. Well, this wind is still going for it. It's kind of hurting my gas mileage again. Holy crap. So we are still on 59 southwestbound out of Houston. And we're out in the middle of nowhere, but you see how they made a 3-lane highway out here? I'll drift over in the middle. And this is in anticipation of society coming out further, you know, because it's going to expand this way. So they went ahead and built this road in advance. So this will go for a distance. There's a Buc-ee's 12 miles away. A Buc-ee's. I tell you what, it's a wonderful day today. We are 12 miles, and I'm going to pull off. I think I'm going to pull off up here, and I'm going to take you into a Buc-ee's. If you've never seen one, it's an experience. And if you've never heard of it, it is a gas station. It is a convenience store, but it's on a different level. Oh, heck yeah. Brisket sandwiches. So if you're from overseas, I want you to hang on for a few minutes, because I'm going to take you into a Buc-ee's. I don't want to say it's a cultural phenomenon, but people have gone in there to get married inside a convenience store. But I'm going to run you in there and let you see what it looks like. And I'll narrate a little bit so you can see what they have. I'll walk slow to make sure the feed doesn't start to interrupt. And Buc-ee's is a beaver, and there's a bronze statue of Buc-ee's outside, and people lay in its arms and get their picture taken. You'll see. Oh, you'll see. Oh, this is Buc-ee's is an experience. Think of Buc-ee's as being the Disneyland of convenience stores. It's a cultural phenomenon, and they've spread these across the country. They're starting to build them everywhere, and if you have a gas station within 10 miles of it, you're screwed because you're going to lose all your customers. And you'll see why here in a few minutes. I used to go in there, and you go through the clothing section and find something very Texas-oriented, and I got my wife a shirt that says, "Okay, Karen." And she wore that on vacation, and everybody and their brothers wanted to take a picture of her shirt. Oh, currently we are on Highway 59 southwest out of Houston, and I'm going from the Houston area, it's the last part of the trip, to Brownsville. Let's just call it Brownsville. Yeah, HEB. I found out HEB stands for Hurst and Bedford. Houston, what the heck is the name of that town? Starts with an E. Eufaula and Bedford, I think. Oh yeah, the Buc-ee's are, like I said, they did it right. You'll see how the employees are dressed in cowboy hats and matching uniforms, and you walk in, and somebody's gonna yell, "Welcome to Buc-ee's" when you come through the door. There's no traffic on the road, so this might be the first time in the history of the world it's not crowded, but there's always a huge line of people, but the line moves incredibly. Hurst, Euless, and Bedford. That's it. Hurst, Euless, and Bedford. What is my favorite car? Well, let's just say at the age of 57, I've owned 5 Volkswagen Bugs in my life. 5. So if I was to have any car, but at this, yeah, exactly. Why no traffic? That's why I'm filming this. I drove from 40 miles north of Houston, all the way through Houston. Now we're going down 59 southwest out of Houston, and this is what it's looked like the whole drive. This is insanity. I have never in 25 years seen these roads this wide open, and I am very much enjoying having this opportunity to drive with not a wall of cars around me and stopping and going, yeah. You move over left lane, and so they're starting to pinch off down here. The Buc-ee's is coming up. Boss says right now, everyone, ready for the bad weather. It's currently 28 degrees. Well, my wife and I are either of us are spring chickens. I like my Bugs, but I'm at that point in my life where I don't like cars that I have to drop down into. I like BMW. BMWs have a lot of mechanical issues, and I always tell people, when you're buying a car, just remember that exotic cars have exotic problems that usually cost exotic amounts of money to fix. You know, the name brand might be cool, but BMW doesn't make a car. It's terribly reliable. It's somewhere between average and less than average, and every time something breaks on it, just because it's got the letters BMW on the part, it costs 4 times more. Just saying. I'm not a supercar person. My wife and I've had a couple of cars from work, but I bought her a brand new Kia Soul, loaded to the gills model. It's called the whole shebang, back in 2014, and we still have that car. And it's the only non-routine scheduled maintenance it's ever had. Was the gas gauge started acting weird one day, and we had to replace it's the wiring, and the wiring was wrapped up in and the fuel pump, and so you had to buy a fuel pump. You know, that was it. Ice Rose, they shut down everything. Yeah, let's see. Buckers, must be close. London. Oh, holy crap. Cop car. Look at that. Right there. Hold on a second. I got to make a radio call. Hey, southbound, coming over the bridge by that Love's, there's a highway patrol sitting on the shoulder. He's not taking pictures currently. All right. I had to call that out. Sorry. Yeah, the thing about spending $250. My suggestion on a sports car, I'm not really a car person, so I can't give you a suggestion, and it depends on what you need. Who the heck that is? I can't really give you a suggestion. Do you think you're cool because you have a YouTube live stream channel? Do I think I'm cool? No, I have a YouTube channel which I started in 22 to help new people get into expediting, because this is a business that you don't know what you don't know. And I was trying to explain what happened. And then I stopped expediting and I went back to flying, and I just kind of pivoted, and now I'm back here. And I'm live streaming because apparently people like to see the roads and stuff and talk about things. This is how I occupy my time, and if people want to come in here and watch, that's great. If they don't, they don't have to. But I see a lot of live streams where people put a camera on their face and want to philosophize the universe, and I don't really understand those. But I don't think it's cool. I think it's just people are seeing something different or something they haven't seen. So, no. I don't think this is a, people say, oh, I'm a YouTube, this. I mean, for the record, my profit margin off of YouTube is $0. I'm not monetized. Yeah, travel without traveling. That's a good way to describe it. To see the roads. And I enjoy aviation, especially helicopter aviation, is stressful because you're just sitting there waiting for something to break. Yeah, if they don't like what they're seeing, you can bail. That's the whole thing. This is, people are looking for something different. And I'm offering this up. I'm kind of new to streaming. I've only started doing this a couple of months ago. Oh, so you want me to talk in radio voice? And don't think for a hot second I can't do it. And I also bob my head for emphasis. But yeah. Yeah, I'm just offering this up. So here we are. See how we're kind of in the middle of nowhere? I'm gonna bump this up and move over. We got some trees, but civilization kind of dies off down here. I don't know if the soil in this area is good for growing things, because we're kind of getting down towards the water table of the ocean. But I do know there's some humongous solar fields out here. Good God Almighty, those things go on for days. But up here we're gonna hit Buc-ee's, and I'll slowly, and I'm hoping, the sign when I saw it said 12 miles, so we're probably down to maybe 5 at this point. Ah, there's the sign, I can see it. As my wife would say, oh, thanks for what you do. Yeah, I just driving here. So we're gonna go, there's the sign. I'm getting excited. And I'm gonna have to use all my power and skill and discipline not to spend a bunch of money in here, because I really don't need to. The place actually has nice bathrooms too. Nice bathrooms that have individual stalls that have doors on them, like a bedroom door, and you close it, and there's like a green or red light outside to tell you that somebody's in there. I mean, it's just, good God Almighty, is it nice. But it's up here on the right. It's this next exit, and oh, thank you. I do a lot of talk. I flew Fox 26 in Houston, and I had to go out live on the air, so I'm used to talking on the radio. And in aviation, you talk on the radio a lot, so I'm used to talking. Beaver nuggets, it's a must. I don't have enough hands to buy anything, because I can't run the phone and buy stuff, and I'm trying to have the discipline not to, because these places are addictive. They make you spend money. I don't know how they do it. It's like a magical power. This is Buc-ee's Wharton, Wharton. Wharton. And I agree with someone earlier said they go in there to buy a Diet Coke and spend $250. Yes, I completely understand that, and here in a minute you're going to see why. Okay. Well, they got this tore up. 28 degrees. Never been in this one, by the way. Nature sounds and all. Now, is this a real Buc-ee's or a fake Buc-ee's? Because a couple I've seen, they're just like they bought a restaurant, they bought a regular gas station, and they just slapped their name on it. But this, let's see what this looks like up here. Alrighty. Buc-ee's Wharton. See the sign? Remember that sign. That will be your tattoo by the time I leave here. Okay, this looks like a small one. This is a smaller version. Usually these things are 4 and 5 times the size of this, but you'll get the idea here when we go out. Can you go that way, dude? I guess you can. This guy was going to be going the wrong way into traffic. Yeah, this is a small Buc-ee's, but we'll see. You'll get the gist of it here in a second. Take your time. No rush. Take your time. Boy, I can feel this weight flopping around in here. Yeah, this is a relatively small Buc-ee's, but you will understand the layout of what they have here. So take what you're about to see and multiply it. This one, multiply it by 10. There was one just outside of Houston. I actually drove by it. I wasn't even thinking about it. You're an alcoholic. Am I now? That's weird. I don't drink, but I guess I'm an alcoholic. Interesting. I was offered a sip of a Miller beer in a paper cup in August 1985. I took a sip, set the cup down. That was my alcoholic experience. Hold on here. Oh, there's Buc-ee himself. You'll see this. Yeah, this is a small Buc-ee's, but I'll give you an idea what they have here. So, yeah, I hear you. All right, so I'm going to shut this down. We're going to go for a walk. Alrighty. It's going to be cold. Yeah, this is a miniature one. I wish this was a big one, but oh well. Here we go. Woo. First, I will introduce you to Buc-ee himself. These gas pumps they have over here, if you look. This row goes on. You see, white van. Here's one. See the rows? There's a set here, and then another set down there. Again, make that 8 of those instead of 2. There's Buc-ee himself, and I'm 6'4", and this is my eyeball view of him, so he comes up to my chin. But people will lay in his arms and get a picture taken. Ah, it smells wonderful. Howdy. Trying to walk semi-slow. So they have the little kids' clothes. Of course, you got to have your Buc-ee's boxer shorts. I mean, seriously, we're not animals. And this is a little bitty version. Mardi Gras. Been to this one, the Wharton one. If I buy one of these, my wife will beat me because she makes hats. That's Texas for you. Catfish Susan. Be patient with me, I'm from the 1900s. That's me. And I'm hoping this isn't fading in and out, and they sell this little faux jewelry and whatnot. But this is Buc-ee's, and this setup is the same. Any state they put one of these in, and then they have the pre-stressed hats. This is, I think, the female section over here. Get a long little doggy. There, if you were looking for a purse that looks like a cow, made a cowhide purse. And they got little kids stuff in here. This place is not really crowded today. This is where my wife spends all her money, right here in the smell section. All right, let's check this out. That's like the Stanley Cup, just way fancier. What is that? That's not plastic. All right. And of course, there's the Buc-ee's handbag, because how could you live life without that, right? And here's the kind of food they sell. Fun food. There's the big version. Those are Buc-ee's glazed nuts. I've had those, are really good. That's how they make them, right here in the store. Okay, that's about 8 inches across there. Pulled pork. These are the burritos they have. Yeah, this, like I said, this is a small store too. There's your all that stuff. Beef jerky, the different kinds of beef jerky. Do a quick scan here. Again, I'm hoping this isn't interrupting. But we're going to cruise around here. And of course, the different style of Buc-ee bags, because you got to have that. Well, they're starting to. They say don't have one in Seattle. There's your beef jerky wall. They're starting to spread. These are starting to pop up everywhere. You see how people keep these places spotlessly clean. I'm not going to walk into the bathroom with a camera rolling, but the bathrooms are spotless. There's a full-time guy working in there. Now, if you're a coffee person, which my wife is massively a coffee person, house blend, dark, all the flavors and stuff. Let me read this really quick. Oh, if you're looking to get into driving, I would say Expediting. Hot Shot is a lot of manual labor. This is a whole lot less. You have these fancy teas. And look at the price tags on these. They're not convenience store pricing. I mean, that's pretty cheap, actually. All right, I'm going to circle back over here. Like I said, they keep this place spotlessly clean. There's no trash. There's no stains. There's no spills. They do sell some wine. More clothes. Yeah, I would recommend Expediting because, again, there's not a lot of manual labor. See a fin, see a friend. All right, we'll show you the food part over here. I guess that's an ATM. That's huge. This is a Texas thing where they sell alcohol just like this. Just like walk in and buy it and I guess go get back in your car. Okay, this is the outside. So let me show you the best part, the food areas. Yeah, I've been into Buc-ee's where you can't see the other side of the store. They have their own line of cups, of course. The beaver nuggets somebody was talking about. Yeah, RV hauling is also a good thing to get into. I was trying that, but I couldn't find enough work to keep it going. So they have a lot of cash registers here and a lot of employees, and even though there's a huge line of people, the line moves really freaking fast. This is all this prepackaged stuff to take on the road with you. Those, by the way, are really good. Yeah, this is the small store. This is little here. I'm telling you, this Probably the second smallest one I've ever been to. And in case it starts getting crowded, they'll actually open up another whole set of registers over here that are kind of isolated. But check this out. Excuse me, sir. Oop, here we go. That's what they're doing right there. Is that not the most Texas thing you've ever seen in your life? Yeah, that's serious business right there. Gotta have your fridge magnets. Gotta have your cups. And your Bucky statue. I think we have one of these for the wifeless throw pillow. Deluxe Southwest Wrap. More clothing. You're my lobster. I have no idea what that means. Yeah, and you don't get more Texas than this. And they keep the same themes in these different ones. I mean, there's probably some adjustment for the local area. What is that?
Right there where you're on right now.
Huh. Nice material.
Now we go. But they're
Hold
really
on a
easy to
second.
move.
Oh, bet.
Just in case they're like.
Check out the pants. Oh, okay. That's a Bucky. And this is a little bitty one. And normally, this place is absolutely packed. You know, there'd be, for this size store, you'd probably have 300 people in here. It's absolutely incredible. But these are starting to spread out. And yes, I'm going to use iron discipline and walk out of here without spending money. Which is hard because that sandwich was looking really good. That's a tent, by the way. Whew, it's cold back out here. And I have spent the night in their parking lots on a couple of occasions. Alright. Cold. And they have a Walmart across the street. Holy crap. Alright. Here we go. Get back in the hoopty. Hold on a sec here. Alrighty, that was your quick tour. Okay. Whoa. Get this thing started back up again. Yeah, it is crowded as can be, and that was parking this close to the front door was also incredibly unusual. Okay, I gotta push a bunch of buttons here. Hold on. Put me back in tow mode since we're kind of heavy. Okay, that was your miniature Buc-ee's experience. And when they have the room, wait a minute, okay, to really fill one of those suckers up, it's impressive. But yeah, I agree, it is crowded as can be going through one of those during normal times. Middle of the summer, you can't find a parking spot. I mean, you're literally 100 yards from the store, 150 yards from the store looking for a parking space. And you get off the highways right here, the traffic is backed up for a quarter mile. It's insane. But that was kind of nice. But that was a little one. Kind of wishing that was a big one because we would have been in there a while. I don't know, but they're starting to spread out. Those Buc-ee's are starting to hang out. Oh, absolutely. I sleep in my van all the time. I have to. You can't afford to be spending money on hotels I mean, multiply 3 weeks worth of hotels. That's crazy. I got a bunk behind me. It actually folds up. It's up high off the ground. It's a little higher than I wish it was because it's hard to jump in. But like the cargo I have in here right now is slid up underneath it because it's high enough up. But yeah, I sleep in my van. Depending on the weather, sometimes, yeah, no, I don't want to put 18 wheelers because they'll fill the place up. But this is a van and I'm kind of invisible. Every once in a while, like my last time out, I didn't stay in a hotel once. This time out, I think I stayed in a hotel twice, and I find a cheap one. Another highway patrol right there. There he is. Hold on, I gotta call this one out. Give me a second here. Southbound, you got highway patrol just past the Buc-ee's on the shoulder when you roll over that hill taking pictures. And by the way, taking pictures means shooting radar. Yeah. That's truck Ringo. Hold on, getting up to speed again. No trucks allowed. Yeah, I always call that stuff out. Mark it on Waze too. India. No, we're in Texas right now. We are southwest of Houston, and we are en route to, can't pronounce it, Hidalgo by Brownsville. Oh, I have been through Ohio so many times I've lost track. Expediting stays up there. That's that northeast part of the country where all the heavy manufacturing goes on. That's where we do most of this kind of work. This is mostly automotive stuff. That's about 90% of the cargo we carry is car parts, just miscellaneous stuff. What I'm carrying right now is heavy machine stuff, heavy machine metals, and it looks like a big metal gasket, but it has a funny shape to it. From what I saw, but it's the inner workings of machinery. And I have 4 little tiny pallets that just so happen to weigh 2,500 pounds. But yeah, I've zigzagged all over Ohio. As a matter of fact, the parent company I drive for is in Toledo. That's the head office. So yeah, I've got a lot of Ohio time under my belt. But I'm glad you got a chance to see Buc-ee's. And again, if that was a big one full of people, it would have knocked your socks off. But they make some serious food there. They've got some burritos that'll just about kill you. They're so large. And there's one thing I've noticed, over the years, you go into convenience stores, you go into stores, and I would say most people you bump into are neutral and some people are hostile. You'll never find somebody in a bad mood inside of Buc-ee's. Nobody. There's not one person in a bad mood in that store. Findlay? Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been all through Dayton, Columbus. A lot of cargo out of Detroit goes to Cleveland. I don't know what the deal is with Cleveland, but they get a lot of cargo moving over there. Oh, the food's phenomenal. I've never eaten anything from that. It wasn't absolutely wonderful. Uh-oh. That cop I called out, he's back there with his lights on. Uh-oh. He's not chasing me, but he got somebody. Yeah, he just pulled somebody over in a little car. Yeah, I run radar. I run radar on everything I own, even though I don't speed in this van. You get off the main drag, you start pulling these little towns and the speed limit starts to drop. That cop will sit right there and wait for you to come past that sign and it'll zap you. That's real common. But I run radar on everything I've owned for years. I'm a very strong supporter of radar detectors. Alrighty. So now we're back down to non-concrete but to asphalt roads, and it's 2 lanes. So here's some of the farmland area. Ooh. Yeah, the brisket, the pulled brisket sandwich. Oh, good God Almighty! Sliced brisket pulled. You saw what they were doing to it. I mean, it's yeah. And it just cracks me up that they'll move it to other states and build those, and they'll still keep the same decor and the same products they sell there, and people buy it. And that one kind of had a small clothing section. You go to the big ones, and they just got some really neat just stuff you just don't see anywhere. Holy crap. Alrighty. Yeah, he was out hunting. That cop car back there. So this shows my next turn is in 139 miles. We started out with 200, but I'm glad we got a chance to go in there. No, not in this part of the world. It doesn't snow here very often. This is kind of off the beaten path for snow. Alright, speed limit 75 here, so we bump it up a little bit. Yeah, but that, he got somebody back there. Is that an airport? That's an airport. Got an airport off to our left here. So we're in the town of Warden, I guess, depending based on what that said. In my trips to Laredo, I know on the way in you go by Indiana. Yeah, this is the kind of the flatlands. I don't want to call this the wastelands, but there's not a lot out here. The Gulf is at our left side here, quite a distance, but we're going down Highway 59 out of Houston towards Victoria, and this is the area I was filming in the helicopter that I was seeing all the solar panels and stuff, the farms, and I don't know if we're going to drive by them because I don't even know where I was on the map at the time. Yeah, there's parts of Indiana that very much look like this. And if anybody's looking for speeds, right through here, the speed limit is 75. I'm not going 75, I'm going 62, but there's a deer on the side of the road. Hey, you weren't paying any attention. Whitetail, those are real common in this part of the world. I was in Boulder City, Nevada, which is the town just south of Las Vegas. We were flying out of there, we're doing the Grand Canyon tours, and it's a really dry, high desert climate. And there was one area that somebody had a green lawn, which green lawns are rare. People have like rock gardens and stuff. Oh yeah, it's heavy overcast, but there is a big sky up there someplace. And this guy had a thick green lawn, which is, again, very unusual in the Las Vegas area. And we went out there one morning, and there were a dozen rams eating his lawn. There was like 9 eating, and one was on lookout. And they were real close to us. Is the Grand Canyon also in Nevada? I believe if I'm not mistaken, Arizona. I think it's across the street, is it? I think it's in Arizona, technically. It's right there where they all come together. The Grand Canyon, officially, if memory serves from my tour days, was 341 miles long. And it's something about the Grand Canyon that cracks me up. Different Indian reservations, Indians own different parts of it, and every one of them gave it a different name. And there was a World War I veteran, and this was his mission in life. He had lost an arm in the war, and he went up to one end of the Grand Canyon and basically floated the distance of it and stopped at every settlement and said, "It's called the Grand Canyon." And then he got back on his boat and floated down to the next settlement and got out and told them, "We call it whatever. No, it's the Grand Canyon." And he named it. He told everybody what it was called. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. Just some random dude. The first Grand Canyon tours started right after World War II in the air, and there was a dirt strip just off the west end where guys would get in Piper Cubs and chase the canyon. There were no rules back then. Put in one passenger and fly down the canyon. Kamikaze flights down the canyon, and started meeting other people doing it going the other way. And they said, okay, we're going to have to regulate this because we're going to get somebody killed. And here's a bit of aviation trivia for you. The FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, that all the pilots in the United States fly under, was created, I think it was 1956, because of the Grand Canyon, because two airliners turned and were flying to and fro Las Vegas or California or somewhere, and they actually had turned to fly over the canyon so the passengers could see it, and the two airliners crashed into each other midair. And it's because of that the FAA formed and started coming up with rules that everybody had to operate under. So the Grand Canyon actually is responsible for there being an FAA. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But every different one, Big Country High from London, England. Wow. And called it before the. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This guy came up and told everybody, here's what we're going to call it, so we're all on the same sheet of music here. You say you're from London, England. Last time I set foot in London was 1981. I was 13, and we went to Heathrow or Gatwick Airport, and we rode out to Victoria Station, walked out to one of those corridors, and there was a hotel that's like a old warehouse where they divided it up into individual hotels. You could walk in and the staircases zigzagged up to the top floor. It was really a cool experience, and I don't know if I've ever talked about this on here, but Heathrow and Gatwick, one of them flies Europe and one of them flies this way, stateside. And it was over the Christmas holidays, and we're in the airport, and there's a million people running around all over the place. Just thousands of people waiting on our flight. I'm sitting off to the side, and I struck up a conversation with a dark-haired girl with buck teeth, long dark hair, and we were leaning against the wall. We just started talking. She's my age, and we just started BSing, and she was bummed out because while they were over here doing Christmas, their family, they were moving. Their household was being moved out of Minnesota, and she was bummed because you're that age where you're going to miss all your friends. And we sat there and just talked, and and then our flight came up, and I said, "Okay, have a nice flight, see you later, bye." And I got on the plane, flew back to Colorado, and I was going to a private school in the town of Fort Collins, way up north, and we came back from holiday. Everybody's excited, talking about what they did over Christmas and blah blah, kid stuff. And then the teacher announces we have a new kid in class. And there she is, the same girl I was talking to in London on the other side of the earth a week ago. And we're looking at each other going, seriously? What are the odds, Is the food still terrible in London? Or maybe you think it's... the way they do hotels over there, when we were there, is they serve you breakfast. And the one hotel we were in, I think we stayed in 2 different hotels. That girl with the buck teeth, because Elizabeth Hurley. You probably know. Her name was Ann something. And the hotel we stayed in, we went down in the basement. They served breakfast. It was like they had an old basement. And they just cleaned it up, and there's like 2 tables down there with 4 chairs each. And they just served. They don't say, what do you have? They give you what they have if you eat it. That was kind of cool. That was the first time I ever experienced that. Yeah, her name was Ann something. She was kind of a smartass, and I kind of have a fondness for smartasses. I married a smartass, in case anybody's keeping records. But here's El Campo. Somebody mentioned El Campo earlier. Yeah, old Dan, whatever happened to her. Remember the CEO of some corporation someplace. But that's back when Western Airlines was a thing. My dad was a pilot for Western, used to fly for free. But Western got bought out by Delta in '87, so they're gone. And the plane we rode on was a DC-10 called the Londoner. Yeah, that was way back. Whoa! Boy, now it's getting sunny out. Look at this. Yeah, I'm getting blown around here. My suspension's kind of sagging here a little bit in the back. I can feel it. Anyway, we're going through El Campo. I don't know anything about the town. I haven't driven down here. Good God Almighty! It's been years. The clouds are starting to look cool though. Some scrap yards. Somewhere down here, I was flying. This is many years ago. There was a guy that had some old Volkswagen Bugs in his backyard on a farm, hiding. And if you're into Volkswagen Bugs, you know how to pick out the older ones. There's little things about them that tell you how old it is. And I flew over at 500 feet, and I looked down, and I circled back around again. And he had some 1950s model sitting back there rotting in his field, and I landed. And I left it run. I'm not supposed to. Left it run and hopped out, and the guy, of course, hears a helicopter that gets out, and I said, I see you hiding these back here. And he goes, you have no idea how many times people try to buy those off me. I said, I know. You can't hide it from a helicopter. And I sat there and talked to the guy for a couple of minutes. One was a 52 model and one was like a 55 model. They were just completely worn out. What am I driving? I have a Ford Transit medium roof extended. My original van that I drove the first time I started expediting was the tall, long, everybody says get the biggest van you can. Well, yeah, but you're paying another $20,000-$25,000 for it. It affects your gas mileage and not in a good way. And honestly, it's nice because of my height. I can stand up in it, but honestly, you don't use all that space ever. I think I filled my van up high twice in 180,000 miles. And boy, that's a lot of money and a lot of gas mileage you're spending for twice. So using my experience in the business when I got back into it, when I officially retired, I bought this one secondhand. And I'm glad of the one I have. I'm happy for this. What? Not your S's on the road when they're not supposed to be. When are they not supposed to be on the road? Yesterday, in the icy conditions coming across Arkansas, which they were slippery, and again, this is the old joke they say, a southerner's worst nightmare is driving around with snow and ice on the roads, and a northerner's worst nightmare is driving around with snow and ice on the roads surrounded by southerners. That's actually kind of true, and there were almost no cars on the road, but there were 18-wheelers. And the trick is just stay away from all the other vehicles. And as I was getting ready to leave Arkansas later in the day, get towards Texarkana, cars started appearing, and they were all clumped together, which, when you're on icy roads, you don't want to be all clumped together. You want to be all by yourself. And I was trailing them by about 100 yards, and I intentionally kept back from the pack. And every once in a while, you'd see brake lights, and all of a sudden, cars were getting sideways and doing all kinds of stupid stuff. And I don't think they made contact, but, why even put yourself in that position? So I just kept staying away from people. I didn't have any problems, except for one guy that was coming up, little car, came up behind me, and I'm looking in the mirror, and he's going 25 miles an hour faster than I am, and he's sliding between the lanes. He's losing control, and he just keeps doing it. You're an idiot. And he got up to me, and he was in the lane next to me, and as soon as he got up next to me, I let my foot off the gas. There, you go by. Go by, and you go up there and freaking spin out. Don't do it with me. There's some kind of a building on the right. What is that? Oh, that's like a silo? That's a grain silo right there. Grain. Some kind of system. Wow. The transits, yeah, I have no problem with it. When I went to get back at this job, I looked at the ProMaster, the Dodge ProMaster, and the only mechanical thing that I found that was negative about those is they have it's called the engine, and I don't know the name of the engine. I can't remember. It's like the Wanky or the Winkle or something, and it's called the typewriter because they have a problem with their rocker arms, and you fire one of those things up, and it sounds like somebody's playing on a typewriter. The tick, 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 tick sound. And they've had a lot of problems with those. And if you get that fixed, it's fine. But what I discovered is the Ford drives like a car, and the ProMaster drives like a bus. The steering wheel is like a bus driver. The steering column is kind of between your legs. It's an awkward sitting position. And I'm 6'4". Geez, we're cutting in and out. My height is in my upper body, and when I sat in that van, I almost couldn't reach the steering wheel because the seats are way up. I just had this thing cut out and come back in again. Oh, there's the Pulaski's or Fraski's smokehouse thing you were talking about. It's right there. Wow, I see what that is. I just had my feet cut in and out real quick, so I'm thinking we may be getting into that part where it's going to cut out completely, because that happens. You could listen to live music on here and listen to a video, but for some reason it needs to have something to do live feed, live stream. It's different. I don't understand the math behind it. Yeah, the transits, I have no complaints. Like I said, I rode 200,000 miles on this van yesterday. I've had to spend some money on it, but it still rides well. The engine's strong. It doesn't burn oil, doesn't leak oil. I mean, it's a solid vehicle. Of course, it's interstate at cruising speeds, which probably helps a little. Whoa. Still getting knocked around. And it's a Ford product, which means it's cheap to work on, and there's parts available everywhere. I used to fly with a kid in the Army, and he bought an Alfa Romeo, like, who cares? And his water pump went out, and he was in Omaha, Nebraska. You know how many Alfa Romeo dealers they have in Omaha, Nebraska? If your guess was one, that's too many. There's a brand new gas station under construction. Not done yet. Anyway, we're driving out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm thinking we're going to start losing reception here. So I'm going to go ahead and end this. We've been on here quite a while, and if I get down into the Brownsville area tomorrow, I may start filming to see what it looks like, because I've never been down there. If anybody's interested, right on the border. But thanks for tuning in. I enjoy the banter, and I like people with the questions. And no, it was not Elizabeth Hurley. But you guys take care. Bye.